All right, man, I'm back. You know who I be, man. I'm the G with a PhD. You tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It is the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up with no chasers, man. And so today, I ain't gonna take long because I'm not gonna take long, bro. It's just something I want to get off my chest and something I want to talk about real quick. And that's these young guys out here, man. I don't know what your experience has been, but I'm beginning to notice, man, that a lot of these young guys, man, are disrespectful, man. Like absolutely disrespectful, bro. Not all of them. I'm not gonna speak in generalities, but I just got to get this off my chest, man. So let me know if you can actually hear me right now, because right now I just want to put a one if you can actually hear me. Everything is coming through crystal clear, or whether or not you can. If a two, if you can't hear me, put a one if you can hear me. Put a two if there's some distortion or something like that going on in the chat, please. I'm gonna wait for that because I can't tell whether or not you can hear me or not. Okay, so you can hear me crystal clear. Okay, cool. So also, I want to gauge, your impact, your input or your feedback. Put a 3 in the chat if you share this sentiment, man, that like a lot of these young guys are just disrespectful, man. Put a 3 in the chat if you think a lot of these young dudes are disrespectful, man. And I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a quick second on this one. Are these young dudes disrespectful? Are these young guys disrespectful, man? I see a lot of threes, boy, a lot of threes. And look, I love black men. I have respect for black men. I have respect for my brothers. I have respect for my fathers, my uncles, my cousins, whether they're young or old. But a lot of us, man, have an issue with respecting each other. But the question I want to ask is, how can you respect other men if you don't even have respect for your own father? How can you even begin to approach the subject of respecting other men if you don't even have any respect for your own father, the person who you're supposed to have supreme respect for, absolute respect for, unflinching, unwavering respect for? That's the beginning of respect. For men, is to respect your father, to have admiration for and to have love for your father. So my thesis is, you tell me if I'm wrong. You can give me a 0. You can give me a goose egg if you think I'm wrong. You can give me a 10 if you think I'm right. That most of the reason that these young dudes don't respect men, older men specifically, is because they don't even respect their own fathers, man. If I'm wrong, give me a 0. If I'm right, give me a 10. Because if you can't respect your own father, how can you respect any other men at all? You start off with the default position that men have deficiencies or that they're supposed to be disrespected. You seen your mother disrespect them. You seen the society at large disrespect them. So how can you have any respect for them? But then the larger question is, if you can't respect other men and extend virtue and appreciation and loyalty towards other men, how can you respect your own self? How can you respect yourself? That's a hell of a question right there. How can you respect yourself? Now, let me put it out here, man. You really can't have respect for someone who wasn't around. Now, can you? If he's not around, how can you respect him? I mean, how can you? Whether it because these kids' moms were single moms, village wives, bust downs, whatever you want to call them, or their fathers were deadbeats. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because these kids, man, especially in the Black community, man, most of these boys, man, they never got the opportunity to experience and develop an intuitive understanding of the value of mature masculine energy. Those are the facts. Whether you like it or not, that's what we're dealing with. He say fitting in feels good, but having respect feels better. That's a quote from one of them old rap songs right there, one of them Tupac songs, huh? That movie, I think that comes from the movie Colors or something like that. I ain't quite, or one of them, old mafia movies, man. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. But if your dad never threw the ball with you, never taught you how to fly a kite, never taught you how to ride a bicycle, never took you camping, never took you to the toy store and bought you some toys to make you feel special, never taught you how to use a gun, never taught you how to start a fire. How can you respect, honor, esteem, lionize, or admire what you never had access to? How can you? How can you? Now, I'm going to tell you something, man. Like, I don't know how old you are, but I know most of the people who watch this channel, or at least over 35 years of age. This is something I know, man. This is something I know. And let me stop this cam, man, and go to the original mode, because something's happening with my audio visualizer. All right. But in my generation, and I was born in the 70s, Generation X, we would never have the audacity. Me and my friends, we wouldn't have the audacity to speak down about our fathers, let alone speak badly about the men who were the same age group as our fathers. But that's my generation. That's my generation. That's my generation. But these young cats, man, they'll call you a old lame ass or old nigga. That they'll actually use the words old nigga and tell you old ass nigga. When did that become something to actually do, man? I'm just saying, like, when did that become a thing where your elders, especially men, your elder men, it was okay to be disrespectful to them? When did that actually become a thing, man? And I'm gonna leave a link to the chat. You know what I'm saying? I ain't done on my soliloquy right now, but I'm not done yet, because I basically want to say this, man. I've had encounters with young guys online, and these little young dudes, man, are disrespectful as hell, man. Not all of them. I can't speak in total generalities, but it's a lot of young guys, man, that will curse around you knowing that you're older than they are. They'll try to intimidate you. But I mean, mostly I'm unfazed. I personally, like, where I'm from, if I walk around, most of the young guys act like they're showing deference to you because you're older. You know what I'm saying? So they'll say something like, "What's up, OG? OG this, OG that." But every now and then, when you piss one of these young guys off and try to tell them something, they'll start talking to you like you're one of their peers. And this is the thing, and disregard that stream elements prompt, because I haven't actually. Let me add that. Let me add this new invite right now, so it don't get out of whack here, man. Let me say this right now, so there's no confusion as to what's going on here. A lot of these young guys, man, now, if you get them upset, you agitate them, they'll say anything flippant to you. They have no impulse control. Hardly any whatsoever. Any impulse control whatsoever, man. So they're disrespectful, superficial, arrogant, egotistical. Some of these young dudes are just plain old assholes, bro. Now, my guess is, my thesis, my hypothesis is that these young guys just don't have daddies around, so they don't know how to talk to other men, how to interact with other men. They know how to interact with women primarily because they've been raised by their mothers, and they've been taught to have some sort of superficial respect for women in that regard. Donald Watts, man, I ain't done yet, but I'm gonna bring you up anyway. What's up, Don? How you doing, bro?
Oh, fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay, man. You know, I'm doing good, my brother. You know what I'm saying? I can't complain at all. But I think it just, man, like a lot of these young guys are disrespectful as hell. What do you think, man?
So they are. I just want to say this is a really great topic, especially now. But yeah, they are. And if I'm talking from a child's perspective, I kind of understand why. I don't excuse it, but I understand. Um, so a lot of these cats who are growing up without their father in the home or without knowing their father at all, and they just have their mother. Like, for example, on one of those questions, the second one you gave, I put 8, specifically because I can't completely say they can't respect a man without a man around, because it all depends on how the woman represents that man or talks about that man that's not around. An example of that was, for me, there was a period of my life when my father wasn't really around, like I felt like he needed to, but my mother never slandered him. So for that reason, I still, glorify my father to a certain extent, especially because all the way leading up to that point, I used to literally look at my father at one point as like God. Like I would try to walk like him. I would try to do everything that he did. And I was also raised by my grandfather and my father.
Okay, so you had a double dose of masculinity as a young boy growing up.
Yes.
You know, you weren't watching your mother and her mannerisms, trying to copy hers. You were watching your father and your grandfather's mannerisms and trying to copy those.
Absolutely. And what they had more than, and this is another thing too, more than, just their mannerisms or anything that they would say or do, there's a presence that fathers have that women cannot replicate. And boys who are not raised around this and they get introduced to it once they fully develop, it can be seen as like a threatening thing to them because they don't understand how to interact with other men.
And that's the issue, that a lot of these guys don't know how to interact with other men. Now, let me just say this, man, before somebody makes this charge against me, right? Now, it's true. You can have a good father and still turn out, if you're a bad son, you're a prodigal son, you can still turn out fucked up. Okay? Because I've seen it happen that way too, where you got a good father works, provides, makes sure that his children are taken care of, and then the kids still go out there and they turn to the street, or they still are like low lives. So let me say that it can happen that way too. Okay, I've seen that. I'm pretty sure you've seen this too, right?
I'll reply to that real quick because I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is my real quick reply. So people who say that, not you, but people who say that like you can be raised in a two-parent home and still come out to be whatever. This is true, but this is one of those things. This is like a possibility, and I think a lot of us, because of we got like a female-led community, a lot of us look at the possibility of something happening over the probability of something happening. So the probability of we want to increase our probability of success. So while that's true, we should really look at the fact that overall families are better when you're in a two-parent home.
Okay, all I wanted to do was say that it's possible. Like for a kid to be born and raised in a good family, and just that for that kid that's a male specifically, still not to be able to fill his father's shoes. You get what I'm saying? That's all I wanted to say. However, what I want to add though is using your language, it's probable that if you are not allowed, if you don't have access to men growing up and you're a young boy, it's probable that you will be a young, disrespectful, arrogant, egotistical, emotional, impulsive, and just a plain old asshole young man. You don't have anybody to pattern yourself after. You don't have any male energy to learn from. So that's my view on this, right? Now, it doesn't mean that these young boys, man, that's growing up without their fathers, that they don't have intelligence. That's not what I'm putting forth here. I think these young guys are intelligent, right? But it doesn't mean that they lack intelligence. It means that they don't have the proper guidance. They don't have the proper trainers or role models to direct their intelligence. And I do agree. Like when you got prepubescent young boys, they can be managed to some degree by their mothers. But by the time they reach puberty, they have to have strong male role models to show them restraint. Because if you're around other men, you begin to learn restraint. What you can say, what you can't say. What you can do, what you can't do around other men. Like what's taking it too far. Because men will check you. Now, I'm saying boys in packs that hang in packs understand this to some degree, or who join gangs. They learn what the limitations and the boundaries are to some degree. Not with other guys outside of the group, though. That's the issue with the gangs. So they turn in on each other, and the only understanding of respect that they have is for people within their own close-knit group. They don't know how to extend that respect, and that's the issue with them, okay? But if you don't have a strong role model around you by the time you reach puberty, that's where the shit begins to go haywire, okay? You don't know how to be social. You have antisocial behavior. You don't know how to resolve or how to deal with conflict or with like a disagreement. How many times has it been that you've seen young guys, man, just fly off the handle over something stupid? Like, you stepped on my shoes, bruh. You ever seen that? Somebody step on somebody's shoes, it becomes a big issue.
Yeah, and I mean, all the time coming up, when I was in school or whatever, you know, they don't understand. Well, a lot of us didn't understand like conflict resolution. I did because I mean, I was trained to look at the fact that there are real consequences for not being able to control yourself, especially since, as a man or as even a boy teenager, you're perceived as more as a threat. So it'll get deadly. I've seen it. I've seen some of the worst.
Well, I've seen guys get into fist fights in the club, young guys get into fights because somebody stepped in their shoe in the club and didn't say, excuse me. Now, let me just say this, man. If you're in a club, it's people walking everywhere, man. Now, if it's just you and that man in a space and it's not crowded and you step on his shoes, then, like you can readily identify who did it. And the man the man disrespected the other man, whatever the case may be, then you get it. But like in a crowded room, man, if you step on somebody's shoe, it's bound to happen. You're in a space where people are bumping into each other, man. There's no way to avoid sometimes contact with other individuals, and you might not even know that you made contact with that individual. But I can tell you this, it ain't worth getting into a fist fight because somebody stepped on your goddamn shoes, man. Or somebody cut you off in traffic. Or because somebody got in front of you in the line. But a lot of these guys get into like these big broiled out arguments and confrontations over the most silly shit. And then they'll curse you out. No, not showing any emotional restraint, impulse control at all. And these supposed to be our future leaders. They supposed to be taking over the reins and carrying black manhood forward. But how can they do so if they don't have any impulse control? Go ahead, Donald.
I mean, just being honest, without impulse control, like you can't. And we both know this. Everybody knows because once you get to a certain level, no matter work for somebody or working your way up the ranks or you own a business and you're trying to scale up and stuff like that, you have to be able to control yourself. The physical part that's the easiest part. I've been in some circles where if you use the wrong words, that can stop your progression or eliminate any opportunity of making progress in a certain field or getting ranked or being able to make certain business. So it's just restraint. But without like any sort of fathers or father figures, you're not really you don't have what it takes more than likely to think these things through logic. Like when people cite you don't think, okay, maybe that was a mistake, or the odds are this is going to happen because where I
Now that's something I do want to talk about. Before I talk about that, Yoga, what's up with you, bro? Can you hear me? For some reason, he's down right now. Yoga, can you hear me, bro? You're on the show. But anyway, let me say this. A lot of times, and you tell me if I'm wrong about this, a lot of times people will make this distinction between rational individuals and irrational individuals, and they'll say the more rational individuals have better impulse control because they're able to think things through, what you just said, okay? Here's my take on this, man. You are rational by nature. You have the ability to think in you from your birth, man. Everybody has this ability. And I understand that men are like, okay, well, women are more emotional. Like, maybe women have emotional moments more so than men do. I get that, okay? They have a deeper, more profound, sense of feeling shit, okay? They're more intuitive or something like that. But we all have the ability to reason, right? Y'all, every human being that's alive, for the most part, unless they have some sort of psychological impairment, have the ability to think. Am I wrong about this?
I mean, we all have the ability to think. All have the ability to reason, unless we have some sort of impairment, like men and women. But if you're in an environment or parents or whatever, most of the time where they don't make their decisions based on reason, it's based on however they feel or comfort and so on and so forth. The odds of you following suit, making decisions the same way that they do, are going to be much higher. That's just how I feel about it. Now,
Okay,
and
so yoga, what's up, bro?
Can you hear me now? G
I
with the
can hear you, man.
PhD.
I wasn't able to hear you before.
Yeah, I had to switch up phones. I guess it was too much. Sometimes you have too many apps on these phones, or sometimes.
Man,
But
I get it, man.
yeah, G with the PhD. Let me get and salute to the other brother on the panel and the brothers in the chat. Let me give a personal story that just recently happened to me the other day. And when I saw your notification for this show, I was like, man, the universe is talking to me because it's just happened to me. So down in Atlanta, y'all know about the Atlanta Water Boys. They all over the city at the expressway exits. Y'all hear like Kwame talking about them, different people talking about them on YouTube, right?
I don't
Well,
know. I don't know what the water boys are, so fill us in on what that is. They sell
okay,
water
well,
on the freeway or something like that, I guess.
yes, sir. Well, down here in Atlanta, you know what's going on with the crunch, with the COVID, and it's sending it's exposing the mother-led households, and especially in the extreme ghetto situations or whatnot. You seeing a lot of the young men by like at least they're like by 15, well, let's say 30 of them on the expressway exit on I-20 that runs through Atlanta. Let's take the Morehouse School of Medicine exit in the West End in Atlanta, where Morehouse, Clark, Morris Brown, Spelman, and Morehouse School of Medicine. Right there on that exit, it's a Popeyes on the exit in the West End Mall. You have some days in high time, you have 15 young men on one exit side going east. You have another 15 on the exit side going west. And when the stoplight turns red and it fills up, and they rush out and they like almost fighting each other to sell you the waters for the dollars and the Gatorades. So, it's been so much where a couple of them have been hit by cars. So the news has been covering it, and it's bled all the way up to Buckhead, Lenox Mall. And so everybody know about that area all around the nation. So you got the Lenox Mall exit, and it's the same thing. Like light turns red, 3 or 4 guys running up, going to the next car, and then when somebody does participate and they waving their money in the air, they run into you like they fighting over the sale. And so it's getting to the point where when you give one $1 for the water, the other ones are chumping you off, literally. So it's like, hold on, I have $2, so I buy $1 water for one. Then the next group come. I'm like, I just bought one, but forget it. Give me another water, young brother. Give me one. Bam, give me another one. The next group come. Oh, OG, and they love to call you the OG. Oh, OG.
Yeah, they do.
Just give us some money now. I'm like, hold on now. Y'all out here hustling. I done bought drinking Gatorade from 2 groups. Now I can't drink. I can only drink so much water, young bro. Well, F you. Now you turn into the N word and all this other stuff. And now I'm kind of feeling like, man, I don't like when the white folks in Buckhead here in Atlanta talk about the young brothers, because I see that as a business model, but I see it as misdirected. But when you're trying to talk to them, they're not responding unless you have the money in their hand and it's a sale. But then if you don't have the money in your hand, it's not a sale, and you're trying to tell them, hey, y'all get some vests, some orange vests or something. Don't be dotting in front of the cars after the light. Don't for y'all rush to the car because y'all scare us. Y'all fighting over the sale. If you're trying to tell them, give them any of that critique on how to make the business better, and you're not buying a dollar of water from them, they almost damn near spin in your face. And I'm like, what? So I've taken an approach now. I roll up my windows. I can't even buy none of the water now because I done got disrespected by groups of them, and then they walking. I can't really say anything. It's 3 or 4 of them, and then you're not buying none. They talking BS to you. I want to kind of get out and scold them and put them in their place, but I'm like, it's too much. And then I'm talking to other people, you know, my age. I'm an 80s baby. I just turned 40. So I'm talking to other brothers my age, and they like, yo, you saw that on the exit over here? You saw the exit indicator? Like, yo, these, like, they running up fighting for the water sale. I'm like, yeah, man, it's getting crazy. And they replaying it on the news here in Atlanta, like over and over. So what I'm saying is, they're the ones with the extreme mothers here in Atlanta. The ones that we seen in Walmart with the fluffy shoes and the bonnets on the head, that's their mamas. So when you really trying to talk to them, even put them on to something, put them on to how to even hustle better selling their waters, they reacting like the mothers, and it's real, and it's a very, very slippery slope. You can get your life taken out here by trying to put them on and thinking that it's a little remnant of like at least the 80s when they weren't whooping you, everybody wasn't whooping your butt in the neighborhood, but they were still, at least everybody could scold you in the neighborhood. We thinking it's a little remnants of that, and it's not, and it can blow up on you real fast. And so I'm learning from y'all experience.
And that's the issue. That's the issue. See, when I was young, I was born in 71. So I'm a 70s baby. Wasn't no way in hell. No young dudes, man, 18, 17, 16, 15, and younger was talking to grown ass men like, fuck you. Because they didn't get what they wanted out of you. And
yes.
Let me just say this though. When I was coming up in the 70s, it wasn't no panhandling like that for real, bruh. Like guys out there like, OG, can you spare me $1, a quarter, something like that? We didn't see that, bruh. I didn't see it. And hey, man, I'm telling you, real talk, man. We never saw that, man. The only time that I started to even see anything that looked like that was after at the time the crack era was wrapping up, man.
It reminds me of 89.
Because this is what it reminds me of. This whole model of selling like water and shit like that is like the young kids used to do when they were selling crack in the hood, and the fiends would come up trying to get something, and everybody will rush to the car to try to get the sale.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
that's exactly what this is like.
So it's like right on in front of Morehouse School of Medicine. It's front of Lenox Mall. It's front of Atlanta City Hall. It's like the two exits up from Atlanta Airport. You will see this at the Cleveland Avenue exit. Anybody that comes to the ATL, Maynard Jackson Airport, y'all can get to the airport. You got to go north to go back to the city. Two exits up, you're gonna get to that Cleveland Avenue exit, and you're gonna be like, what? Third world.
Let me just say this though. I think these young dudes can think. Because everybody can think.
Yeah.
But see, thinking is just one component of what it is to be human and to develop virtue. Because even these young dudes just like poor when it comes to impulse control, poor when it comes to virtue, like just being able to control their emotions and being respectful. You got to be taught that at a young age, man. You have to be continuously taught that, and you have to practice that. So you got two natures. The first nature that you have is you have like the ability to think and to process thought and to deliberate and to think things through. Every human being has that ability. But you also have another nature. I call it your second nature. This is like ancient philosophical thinking. Like I'm going to some Aristotle shit, right? I know you heard of Aristotle before. I'm pretty sure.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here with you, brother. I got a bachelor's in econ, math, MBA. I'm here with you.
Okay, so I want to put it to you like this. Imagine anybody can be trained to do anything damn near if they spend the time and they have the discipline and put the effort and the energy into it.
True.
Okay, so like whether it's like doing something like playing a piano, or whether it's like a skill or a trade like carpentry or electrician, work, anybody can be trained to damn near do anything. Okay, You got a first nature that thinks things through, and you got a second nature that becomes habituated to doing things. You see, you catch me? You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
That's
every
how we
human being,
got habits.
everybody can develop either good or bad habits when it comes to anything. Okay? Period. But the whole point is you got to be habituated into virtue. You have to be. It's called character. You have to be habituated in acquiring the virtues. And it's not like training somebody like a dog. See, it's not like teaching somebody how to do tricks, right? But you have to be able to choose actions that you know are right for their own sake, and you have to be habituated into that. You have to be. These young boys are not being habituated into virtue at all. And that's the issue. And then everybody has this problem with these guys when they become grown men because they haven't been habituated into virtue by older men. So now you got a problem on your hands. It's like you got stray dogs out there.
Almost. That's what it seemed like.
It's like you got wild dogs out there. Now they got the power of men, but they don't have the virtue and the character of men. They have the bodies of men, but they don't have the habits of men. And then everybody wonders why it's an issue out here with men on the street, and there's an issue with all of this violence and all of this disrespect, because they haven't been trained to feel shame at doing the wrong thing. You understand what I'm saying? Like if you're doing something, thank you, my brother Skizzy, 215, second time catching your stream, great topic. Thank you, my brother, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So the virtues, like everybody knows that there's different virtues, right? There's courage. There's being generous. There's a virtue of being witty. There's a whole bunch of different virtues. You can just go down a list and name all kind of virtues, but just like take courage, for example. You can't become courageous if you never face any challenges and you practice being courageous. You're not going to be perfect at this when you first start. It's not like courage is just born in you. You have to learn it. And somebody has to teach it to you. Like, okay, I know you're afraid, but calm yourself down and get out there and do it. You may fail, but you may, after you continue to practice it, you'll get successful at it. Like playing the piano. And what I mean by this is you can't play the piano at first. You're going to stumble, make mistakes again and again and again. But if you continue to try it, eventually you're going to get better at it. Right? Am I right or wrong?
Oh, you correct. They put in the man hours.
You got to put in the hours. But when it comes to kids, you have to train them like you teaching them to play the piano. But not when it comes to just doing something like a skill, like playing an instrument, but it comes down to actually dealing with other people and what they can and what they can't do. They have to be made to feel shame when they do the wrong thing. And I ain't talking about just beating somebody. I'm talking about actually taking them through the steps to make them understand this is not right, young man. You cannot just act this way, young man. You can't just, when you get mad, you see young kids doing this shit. Like, I don't know if you got a young son or not. I don't know how many of y'all got sons. Okay? Do any of y'all have them?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you done bought them video games and shit, like, right?
Of course.
Like PlayStations and video games and shit.
Yep. Nintendo Wii, the exercise game.
Now, have any one of those little young men, man, ever broke their game because they got mad at it and shit?
You already know.
They done destroyed the controller because
exactly
they can't win. They mad at the game now. So they done threw the controller on the ground. They pissed off at the controller. They're not mad at themselves for not being able to perform the task that they confronted with. They're mad at the equipment.
For not letting them win.
Right. So they destroyed the controller. I did that shit twice when I was young. I destroyed the controller. Guess what? That game was taken away from me for a year as a young boy. You ain't playing no video games. I don't care where you at. And when I was young, you didn't really we had the Nintendo 64, the Atari 2600 and all that. I'm going way back, but those are the games we had. I destroyed that shit. Was still expensive back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Them game systems was like $125.
Oh,
but we talking about in the 80s though.
I did that.
I'm talking about in the 80s, bro. So that's like $500 now today. These young kids have to be made to feel shame when they fuck up. But nobody wants to make anybody feel any shame. Everybody has value and worth now just for merely existing. And that's the issue. These kids are not being taught virtue. They're being taught they're okay just as they are. And everybody has value and dignity, because they're a person, but you also have to be able to correct people. You can't even correct these kids no more, man. The mothers aren't correcting their sons for real. Like the kids are cut up in school. They'll come to school, get mad at the teacher for getting down on their kid's head. The mothers will come curse you out over their kids when you're trying to get their kids straight. You see what I'm saying?
I got you. Can I put this out here, G with a PhD? Look at it. I look at it this way sometimes. I don't know if my old boy know his background is like that, but I look at it this way. The system that creates these circumstances where we get these results. We all know that system. Your channel, you talk about this, how to bring us to and identify things, right? We know that this system that the Europeans have perpetuated around the planet is powerful, it's massive, it's efficient, it's effective. But we have to really look at it. I start looking at it this way. If it's all those things I just said, and I know those things to be true about this white supremacist system, well, what makes this white supremacist system gives it this power? The melanated people and a certain sect of this melanated people that which they have created. Well, if their system is stronger in 2021, then their niggas, their product has to be stronger. And we're seeing it and we're looking at it and we're saying, why is the disrespect from these young guys? Because we're seeing the true product of the globalist white supremacist system. We're saying that this is the product, and this has to be a stronger product. The power, they're going to be the sales, the power of the system. So the system can't be stronger until they have a higher grade of what we call nigga, or what's created. And I look at it this way, and so I want to combat it, I want to fight it. But it's just like fighting it on all scales of fighting white supremacy. You could lose your life with it. You could be like Mega Evers and they pull up in your driveway. And even though it's our own melanated young boys that we see in a single mother caught up in it, but their level of the white, that's the product of a white supremacist. That's almost when we go into the ghetto to try to and bring them up and bring them to a certain country level. It's just like us going into the boardroom at CNN and saying, at ABC in Hollywood saying, why y'all not showing the right the certain type of programming to raise us up. They're gonna do things to get us out of there. We're gonna get IRS sick on us. The FBI gonna get called on us, and all different type of texts from all different type of angles. And it's the same. I look at this kind of. I'm starting looking at it the same way. I'm going back and trying to go to the hood and pull them up and pull them up. Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's a risk. It's a risk dealing with these young guys. Go ahead, Don. You was gonna say something, Don. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got a little lag, but I want to speak to what the brother Yoga was saying. No. Actually, I want to speak to what you were saying when you're talking about the parents going up in there and them cussing out the actual teacher for the kid messing up. Now, I don't have any kids, but I do have some boys here and there that I try to pull in because I know they're in a bad way. You know, through martial arts, spending time with them or whatever, right? I'll talk to the mothers sometimes, and I'll talk to the kids because, you know, they're messing up in school and this is that and the other. And then when these mothers, these parents are interacting with them, dealing with like the problems that they're having in school, they'll just cut off for like a second, and then they'll just say, look, I don't have time for this. So if I got a mother who won't sit up there and work with me through my issues, and then I got this man, like, and I don't have any men in my life trying to tell me what's right, why am I gonna listen to this man when my mother don't even care?
That's the problem, right? So you got these single mothers who, in their eyes, they boys can't do no wrong. Okay, it's their kids. They're responsible for their kids. It's their kid. So if you make their kid feel uncomfortable, which in order to train a kid, you got to make the motherfucker uncomfortable, man. Do you get what I'm saying? If they do something that's dishonorable, you got to make the motherfucker feel uncomfortable. Am I right or wrong about that? If you can't make the kid feel uncomfortable and feel shame, you can't instill virtue in that kid, man. Period. You can't instill virtue without shame and correction. All correction is shame. You tell the kid, look, you can't do that. That's wrong. And you make them feel uncomfortable for having done something wrong. That way they understand and they can process it and become habituated into understanding why it's wrong. By the time you're 25 years old, it's too late to make you feel that shame. You get what I'm saying? It becomes a pain to their soul. It becomes painful to their soul. And shout out to Mr. Palmer, man. What's going on with you, bro? We doing the show tomorrow with Dennis Spurling, man. I want you to come by, man. We're going to talk about the justice system and the family court system, bro. I fucks with you, man. I like your channel. I love your content. And that's the shout out to Mr. Palmer, man. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, too. I already subscribed to yours, though, brother. So shout out to you, man. And check out Mr. Palmer's channel, man. You know, on YouTube, man. He talks about baby mama terrorists and the family court system and child support and, you know, how it taxes black men's lives. So shout out to him, man, on the real, though. But if you can't make these, and yeah, we're going to have Dennis Spurling here tomorrow, too. So if you can't make these kids feel shame, you can't teach them virtue. But nobody is allowed to teach these kids shame. They're not getting the proper training. And that's the issue. They have to have the proper training. And they're not getting it. And by the time they 30 years old, I done heard 35, 40-year-old men call 60-year-old men, you old bitch ass nigga. What part of the game is that?
Listen,
I'm asking the question to all the men in the chat. If you 40 years old and you talking about 70-year-old men and calling them old bum ass bitch ass niggas, what part of the game is that? What part of your upbringing did you lack to where you thought it was cool to be disrespectful to your elders. Because a lot of older guys don't have respect for their peers either. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm keeping it a buck right now. A lot of you guys, man, is like 25, 30, 35. You still don't have the proper and the appropriate respect for older men. And I understand that, like, at a certain point, you know, you start feeling yourself as a young man. You start feeling yourself, but then you need to learn the appropriate protocol. It's not okay for you to call 70-year-old men or 60-year-old men, you old bum ass nigga, you old ass nigga. Because you know, if you 35, you're not gonna want a 16-year-old to try to pull that shit with you. You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
Because you know that you have more experience than that brother, and that you can actually teach him something. Now, but right now we exist in a situation where you got 50 and 60-year-old motherfuckers that ain't been taught the appropriate protocol. You feel me? Mr. Palmer, what's going on with you, brother? How you doing, man?
Shit, man, you put a smile on my face. I like what you talking.
Hey, man, you know, we keep it straight up, no chase over here, Mr. Palmer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Shout out to you, man. I'm a fan of your work, man. That's all word up, man. So I'm a fan of your work, bro.
I've been watching. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna say I've been knowing about you since I chimed on to YouTube, man. So you know what I'm saying. You definitely. People been saying reach out to you. I had tried, but like I tell people, I mean, you got a nice platform. When you send them emails, the messages, man, I might be on the bottom of the list, so you just don't know. So you know, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm definitely gonna email you back so we can talk on the phone. But the shit you talking, the shit I'm putting out there, these little niggas don't have no respect because they was raised not to be respectful. You know, if they raised around a baby mama tears or some simp ass nigga, then this what you got. And they have to learn the hard way. I was just talking about Dr. Dre's oldest daughter, who's 38 years old, talking about she's sleeping in the car. No, she's sleeping in the van, talking about she's struggling and she need handouts from her daddy because he got millions of dollars. And I'm like, okay, why are the kids staying, 4 kids with no husband? Why they staying with the friends and not the mother? Since she's the mother earth and he's a piece of shit, why is you reaching out to him? Why you ain't reaching out to her? She was getting some nice child support with your siblings and you the only one complaining. Something's wrong with this picture. And all
man, sometimes you gotta let your kids bump their heads, you know what I'm saying, in order to understand and to learn some lessons. But
I tell them all the time, wash your hands, move on, keep your veins cold. These white men, these rich white men been cutting their kids off from day of time. If you do some disrespectful shit, or if you do some fuck shit, or if you've been embarrassed the family and putting shit out in the public light, they wash their hands and move on. They don't give a fuck about you being a kid. So why do we have to have mercy and pity because it's us? Nah, fuck that. You gonna lose your dynasty, your legacy because of one motherfucker, and that because they didn't want to go the route that they didn't want to learn from you, or they too manipulated from their punk ass mama, and now all of a sudden you want to get handouts from me. This dude Dre was already take care of his daughter. She said she ain't received no money from him 18 months, so that means he was giving her money. So evidently she ain't doing right with it. And how the fuck you broke with his last name? How you got his last name? How'd you broke? How you struggling?
Well, I'm gonna tell it to you like this, man. Like some guys, most men don't have any impact over their children's lives because we live in a gynocracy, bro. So the idea is we are sperm donors to these children. We're supposed to be able to have input and impact over their lives. We're supposed to be able to train them and cultivate them to be the kind of people we can be proud of. But when you get separated and alienated from your own kids, and they become strangers and enemies to you, and they become disrespectful to you, how are you supposed to treat them?
You're supposed to treat them like an opposition because like I said, hey man, why would you leave your legacy, your dynasty to a motherfucker that disrespect you or a motherfucker that's gonna sabotage your shit? Why? Hell no.
It's one thing though, Mr. Palmer, for a kid to make a mistake. You know what I'm saying?
That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different
thing. But it's another thing for a kid to just, like, okay, there's no honor that I have towards my parent. That's a whole different thing right there, man.
Right.
And so what you starting to see is like a lot of young guys, man, are like, man, fuck my daddy.
Yep. And don't even know why they saying it. They only going by what their mama say. And I tell any man, at least talk to your father and find out what's the truth. Because you'll really find out. Believe me, you'll know if he was really a piece of shit, and you'll know if he telling the truth. But I will say, you could even show a child, manipulate a child who's grown. You could show them the receipts, and they will still go against you. They won't go against the code because manipulation is a powerful thing. And I tell men, keep your receipts and tell your story. See, the problem is we as men, especially black men, we walk with our head down. We don't say nothing. We don't want to make things worse than they have to be. I'm like, what worse can it be? You being called deadbeats and lowlives. No, you call this shit out and tell your story, tell the truth. Because this is one of the reasons why they think that this shit is true. One is the media. Two is the politician, Obama and Clinton and everything else. Then you got these baby mama terrorists, especially these fake ass queens that sit back and say that black men don't want to be father. How is that? Because you get his child support that you say you don't need, but you go to court saying, oh, he ain't this and he ain't that. I need this, I need that. But go out to the street and say he ain't shit. I'm independent. So that's what I'm saying. You gotta call this shit out, man. Because they goal is to take whatever they can from you, which is your child and your money.
So here we go. We got a comment in the chat. I want to cover this. So there's a woman named Misty Martian. She says, OMG, here go again, men rambling, not take responsibility for what they did to the mother. And see look.
Nah, I can respond.
Here's the issue.
Here's the thing. I got to cut you only because she said that. Here's the thing. I got statistics and stats and CDCs to prove that this system is about keeping the father out the picture and setting the man up for failure and setting that child up for failure. I got that. Now, if you just talking about somebody rambling, I got proof. You go on my platform, that's what I talk about. I don't just run off at the mouth. But see, as far as I'm concerned, you want these baby mama terrorists that choose single motherism, that support the feminist ideology. I get it. But when I ask y'all to come on my platform, let's talk about it, y'all go the other way. See,
exactly. So right now, Misty Martian, if you want to have a conversation, right? If she want to have a conversation, she can come on right now and have a conversation. But here's the issue. I guarantee you, Mayor J, I don't know why you got timed out. I got a bot running the chat, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how things happen, man. It ain't that I'm, trying to single you out. I ain't got nobody monitoring the chat right now but a bot. But here's the deal, man. I got stats too. All the way from domestic violence, sexual assault, like the whole nine. And we do work in this area as scholars because we want to basically challenge the misrepresentations and the feminist narrative that all of this pathology and violence is only carried out by men in the black community. You got black women, man, who try to roll over their boyfriends who cheated on them, like kill them with cars, stabbing them, shooting them. Like this stuff happens from women too. It ain't just men who are pathological in the context of intimate partner relationships. So that whole narrative that women are like dealing with terroristic threats inside of their own homes is absolute bullshit.
Bro.
And women aren't taking
No, I'm just saying I don't entertain what they say because just like, for example, they tried to do a petition to boycott Kevin Samuels and all that shit, but you won't go boycott the Asian nail shops and the Asian beauty salon store to be beating your ass when you waste your money with them. So I don't entertain shit like that because they pick and choose what they want to so-called go against. I don't entertain that. That's just some shit they want to do to shame you. This is some shit they want to do to make you be quiet. This is shit they want to do for you to just keep your mouth closed, be one of these sympathy forces, run to these bitches' defense. So I don't entertain that because even when you tell them the stats, even showing videos, clips, and everything else, they still will not go against the code. And this is why what I tell my men on my platform is we have to change the laws in our mind and stay away from these motherfucking types because these are the ones who send you up for failure. And I agree with these feminists when they say, well, we are the pillars of our community. Yep, you are. We are the leaders of our community. Yep. And you're the reason why our boys and our girls are set up for failure for the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years because they've been having primary custody of our kids. So I agree. You are the leader of this community, and that's why our community is down the drain the way it is today. So I agree with them, but it's your fault. So it's not our fault. How is it our fault if we alienate out the picture? How is it our fault that you chose government daddy welfare or you chose child support over equal parenting? How is that our fault that you got me going in and out of jail on false allegations? or false abuse and so on. So how is it our fault? No, it's your fault. And you is aid assist through government daddy. And that's the thing I would not ever forget. And I don't understand. Y'all holler, Black Lives Matter. We support our kings, George Floyd and everything else. But the same system that you fighting against, you say white supremacy, the same white supremacy you put black men into. So what the fuck?
There you go. And that's the contradiction.
Right.
And you
so
know,
I'm the dummy.
That's the
I'm
contradiction.
The couch, though. I don't know nothing. I'm a dumb nigga on the couch, and I'm the nigga from Cottage Grove. I don't know no better. So I mean,
are you from the Chi, right?
Oh yeah, Chicago.
So my father's from Chicago. My father lives in Chicago right now. You know, I'm in Texas right now, but my father from Chicago, 87 King Drive, South Side, baby.
Yeah,
Harold's Chicken. Harold's Chicken, you know what I'm saying? Italian Fiesta Pizza, baby. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with it heavy.
Yeah. Okay.
But so what I don't like is this narrative, this idea, this whole concept that these women are alone because their daddies was just deadbeats. No, that's not what's happening, man. That's an inaccurate portrayal and a picture of what's actually taking place and how these families become fractured and splintered to begin with. A lot of these women, man, don't want to be told what to do at all. They want to be able to dictate, but they can't take dictation, right? When anybody presents a challenge, it becomes oppression in their minds. You can't tell me what to do, but they can tell you what to do, though, right?
Right.
And in effect, what they're doing is they're using the state to dictate what you do. This is exactly what's occurring. It's not a natural symbiotic relationship. It's a relationship that's formed by them being able to utilize the mechanisms of the state to make your life a living hell.
They don't even know what a fuck a deadbeat is. A deadbeat is somebody who don't pay their financial responsibility. So, and I'm gonna go back to this, and you look it up. It means somebody who don't pay their financial obligation. Not talking about child support. Not talking about running away from responsibilities. Not being a deadbeat, if that's what you want to call it. It's anybody, male or woman, that's not paying their bills. Whether it's your credit cards, whether it's your house note, if you're not paying anything particular that. So the definition they've been using is that shit Bill Clinton, Obama punk ass come out with, talking about we need to do better and all that. No, bullshit, because I'm going to tell you the stats of this. Y'all already know that 85% of men are on child support and non-custodial parents versus the 15%. Now, I want y'all to know this. When it comes to men not paying their child support, out of the 85%, it's only 17% of men who do not pay their child support, right? Now, 15% of these women, only 15%, of women who are on child support and non-custodial parent, 57% of them do not pay their child support. So if you want to use the logic that deadbeat is for guys who are on child support that don't pay their child support, look at the 57% and the 15% versus the 17% and the 85%, and you tell me who's the quote unquote the real true deadbeats. And that's why I tell y'all have to learn what society has been lying to you. They've been sending you off with this narrative that men ain't trying to be fathers, men don't pay their child support. How is that when only 15% of women pay child support and only 57% do not pay it? Over half do not pay it versus the 17% of us that's in the 85% who do pay. So who's the real deadbeats out here? Who's the real deadbeats?
That's a good point, man.
Right.
Good point, Mr. Palmer.
But I'm asking, who's the real deadbeat? And here's another thing. And to that one who came in and said, "Oh, y'all rambling." If you look up the stats, you'll see that when it comes to kids being beaten, abused, and murdered, why is the women, since y'all do have more custody, y'all the most best fit, why is y'all at a way higher percentage than these deadbeat men that have abuse and murdering their kids? And y'all got 90% of the custody. That's what I'm saying. Y'all ain't the most best fit. Y'all just the most benefit the government debt to get that $51 billion crime bill that they got. That's all. You ain't shit. And truthfully, I want y'all to know they don't give a fuck about these women. They don't give a fuck about it, but they use them because that's how to keep they self in them seats, power, and keep the system the way it's going. See, it ain't. They don't give a fuck about the women either. They know they stupid, but that's a more benefit to them to set. But what they don't realize, they realize it, but the kids are set up for failure, and they know this. So once the kids get in that child support system, outside when they get grown, they'll be in the jail system. They get paid all the way around. It's a system that
they manage black men through punishment. They manage black women through bureaucracies. This is how the game go. It's been like this. They manipulate women and make them feel like they're doing them a service, and they just outright become overtly aggressive towards men.
And that's why a lot of Democrats will set a lot of us for failure with that bullshit. We looking out for the black people when they really say you're for failure with this welfare, Section 8 and everything else. And what people need to realize when these fake ass baby mama Ted's queens come on here and talk about white men don't complain about it. How the fuck you think fathers' rights movement started? Black man ain't started that. The white man started that. They the face of, if you want to talk about the quote unquote deadbeat dad, the quote unquote the face of being a deadbeat dad was white men. It was created for them because they was going overseas back in 1935, not come back home when wives back then. The child support was meant for married white women, not unwedded women, not black women. It was for white married women because they was not allowed to work. They weren't allowed to vote to do shit. He go overseas, fight the war, never come back. That's why child support was in existence, and it was understandable back then. But as time went on with this welfare system shit in 1974, that's when it really got worse. And they looked at it as anybody can go to child support, whether if you married, unmarried, divorced, not divorced, whether if you're living in a house with them or you don't, it doesn't make a difference because it's a profit to them. But see, they don't want to talk about that. They just say, "Oh, you on child support? Oh, you must want to be a father. You had to do something. You should do something." That's what I say. These bitches, they know what it is. They don't want to go against the code because they may need the same shit at the time. That's what it is.
Right. Mark Nelson, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Tell us what your feelings are about this, man.
Well, honestly, I don't know who you guys are. I was just on YouTube, the homepage, and it was recommended to me to join in on the live stream. And the things you were saying about the destruction of the nuclear family and the purposeful sabotage in the segregation of the black community versus the white community, that, you know, I vibe with it. You know, I can't really put it into words, but a part of me understood it. So that's why I stayed engaged. And I think you have a lot of good points that I'm not intellectually capable of articulating. So it's refreshing to hear.
Oh, for sure, man. Well, you know, welcome to the channel. You know what I'm saying? You know, we go in on white folks, man, like when they wrong. I go in on brothers when they wrong. I go in on young black men when they wrong. I go on black women when they wrong, whatever the case may be. So welcome to the channel, man. But here's the deal, man. We know what's happening to white folks too. I don't know about your relationship and your families, but there's a lot of fracturing and splintering among white families too, ain't it?
Absolutely. That's the thing that really got me, because once I tuned out, I know it sounds very cliche, but once you tune out like the black and the white, like the words, once you tune out the words, it's very applicable to everyone. It's not. Yep. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm making the problem about me, but I think the fact that that's what came to mind means that it's a problem that affects everyone, and the fact that it's not discussed is a little disturbing.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because on my platform, I tell everybody that when it comes to child support, ain't no man exempt from no child support. You could be a white dude, and actually, I tell people, white men go through more than black men, even though we don't seem like it. They do. They pay the most money, and they more on child support than anybody, which is the majority of white people in the country, 7%. But we as men have to come together and try to make this type of change. But I say we have to change laws in our mind, because they ain't not finna change these laws, but we have to change our mindset and our thinking and get ourselves in order. So while they sit back and say, well, it's just a black man, it's just a black man, because I thought at one point I started doing my research, no, white men been going through this for a long time, and because of this feminist ideology with the white woman star, that's why I tell y'all the worst baby mama tears is our Karens. They the worst. They are the worst. And when it's all said and done, when they get back to the father's right movement, the father's rights movement started by white men. It didn't start by black men. We start piggybacking, start working with them, but they started this for all these black queens that say, Brad don't have them problems, Chad don't have them problems. Who the fuck told you that bullshit? They had more problem than we do. So that's the biggest lie.
So what I, you know, at some point, like I said before, man, we're gonna have to form alliances with other groups of men. I've said this a long time ago. Now I do have a problem with racism and race shit. I talk about it because I tell the truth about it, okay? But at the same time, men are gonna have to band together and get this shit right, okay? I'm glad you because like you got Red Pill, like the movie The Red Pill. was white men doing men's rights activism. Like they were understanding that, like, okay, men are being alienated from their children. Oftentimes what happens when divorces happen, a woman will allege abuse, but that's just a convenient way for her to divest herself away from the relationship because she wants the monkey branch and move on and jump like a pogo stick on the next man's dick.
Right.
Right. I'm just keeping it 100, man. Like a lot of people, you know, we act like that doesn't happen. And it's just it's a crock of shit to say that all of these women are experiencing abuse. Let me tell you something about IPV, intimate partner violence, for real. Only 25% of couples that are, you know, intimate partner relationships have experience with violence. Okay, about a quarter of the relationships. Out of that quarter of relationships, most of the violence that exists within it, like 60 to 50%, is what they call bivalent violence, meaning it's like both parties are being violent to each other because somebody hits you, you hit them back. Somebody slaps you, you slap them back. But in a preponderance of cases, it's women who are initiating this goddamn violence, man, because there's no repercussions, there's no consequences. Men don't call the police on women. Women call the police on men. Okay? We've been enculturated into this idea that every woman who has some experience with violence in the context of an intimate partner relationship is one where she's being terrorized. She can't leave the house, like sleeping with the enemy or some shit like that. That's a bullshit notion of how domestic violence works, man. We got over 40 years, 50 years of research from credible social scientists, internal review board approved research, peer review articles that demonstrate that women are just as likely, if not more likely, to commit acts of violence in the context of intimate partner relationships. But somehow men get typecast as being these terrorists who are just abusing women. It's a lie. It's
always been a lie.
It's a canard. It's misrepresentation of the facts. Now, these women are able to monkey branch and go off and do whatever they want to do, and they have an extreme amount of power because basically what they can do is they can take your kids away. They know that hurts men. They know it hurts them. So they do it in order to hurt men. They use children as bargaining chips, man. They say that it doesn't happen. Women know this shit happens. Yes. They are fucking liars if they say they know this. I'm not saying all women do this. All women don't do this. Majority. It's enough women who do it. It's enough women who do this shit for them to understand and to know what the fuck really is actually going on.
Yeah, right. And that right there is why I say, even on my platform, I say men of all races got to come together. Any issues, like, you know, we got historical issues. We got a bigger enemy. And sometimes the enemy of his enemy is my friend. And that's what we got to do. Because government daddy is the problem. I tell God, anybody going there could get set up for failure when it comes to child support. You could be Richard Spencer, you could be Louis Farrakhan, you could be a pro-black, you could be a white nationalist. It does not make a difference. And that's what I'm saying. When this shit all said and done, the government daddy reaps the benefit and the child lose. And they're gonna continue to do this. That's why on my page I tell people, yeah, black men go through it, but all men go through this shit. Because to let people know, the number one suicide when it comes to alienation and child support is white men. Number two is Indian. Now, we don't talk about no Indian, but they go through it just as much. Indian. So, and let y'all know, child support is a worldwide pandemic. $51 billion in America, and in the UK, it's $48 million. You fucking got child support in all the European countries. You got child support in fucking Brazil. Brazil is a third world country. They got child support. Certain parts of Africa got child support. Japan, certain parts of Asia. This shit is real. They follow America with this piggyback to get this money. That's what I'm saying. It's a straight equal ass crime bill, and it hurts any man that's dealing with this feminist ass society. That's why they want to emasculate our boys. This is why they want the father at home. They want the alphabet to rule the fucking communities and shit. That's why Black Lives Matter. Where they fraud at. That's why they did what they did. They didn't want the family structure. They said in their damn website till they finally took it off, but it's too late. They made the dollars. Because a lot of our dumbass queens entertained the shit. They had a whole different agenda, and it was out there on the website, and people still did not call this shit out.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to know what your angle is. I feel like a lot of the things that happened with the popularized Me Too movement. I'm not saying that it was bullshit, but it felt like it was a kickstart to normalize never questioning the victim, the woman. And while I believe it's good and fair to discipline people who have raped and assaulted women, it almost seemed like it was normalizing never questioning the woman's perspective and giving her power over the man, and by effect, his assets, the children, the finances, etc. Uh, Clearly, this is the thing that's happening, but what's the point? Where is it going to? Like, once the family's destroyed, what's next? Because we live in a society that operates off the backbone of slave labor. And modern slavery is really working in a prison for 8 cents an hour, going to work for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, living off credit. Like, where is this going? I see what's happening, but where's it going? What
Well, I
is
mean,
your
it's good. Well, let me just say this, man. Okay, so Me Too, as far as I'm concerned, is a crock of shit. Let me tell you why.
Liars.
Okay,
They liars.
look,
Right.
some women are being assaulted and sexually abused. That happens. Okay, I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen. It does happen. But the idea, first of all, you have to deal with the facts. And the facts are women are sexual assaulters as well. They assault young boys.
Right.
The first, oftentimes in a family situation, the first violence that young boys experience is violence from discipline from the hands of their mothers.
Yep.
I got
These are the facts.
from my
Now,
mom.
if you want to know the truth, we can tell the truth. If you want me to spread some cap and some fiction and some canards, then I'm not going to do that. So you can go elsewhere for that. Now, my whole thinking on it is, okay, this is supposed to be America where you're innocent until proven guilty by 12 of your fucking peers.
Bullshit.
That's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be innocent. All that shit is mob justice, man. Me Too is the court of public opinion where, okay, women are supposed to be believed at all costs. Let me just say this shit. This should be intuitively, just readily accessible to anyone who's willing to listen. Women are human beings, right? Okay? They're human beings. They have physical problems just like men do. They have psychological problems just like men do. They can lie, cheat, steal, and commit acts of violence just like men can. This is human nature. Nobody's perfect in this motherfucker, right? Who is perfect in the human race?
No one.
No one is. So if we start with reality and we say, look, pathology can come from anywhere. It can come from women, it can come from men. And then we take a realistic approach, we can probably try to solve some of these issues. I mean, we can actually begin to make the situations, manageable, but we can't manage the problems with lies. Now look, perfect example is Bill Cosby, right? So motherfuckers retroactively feel like they can go back and scrutinize a man's record. This motherfucker's 70, 80, damn near 80 some odd years old, right? How the fuck can you go back 40 years, listen to a bunch of women who basically know they was fucking around with a married man, doing coke and weed, God knows what else he was doing, or what else they was doing. And then I thought that age or the era like Bill Cosby came up in was the era of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. Yeah. I thought that's what it was about. I'm talking about free love, like the Woodstock and all this shit where everybody was getting high and fucking, right? Psychedelics and everything. So now we supposed to go back in time. No evidence, just a woman's word and say, well, he made me feel uncomfortable. He took advantage of me 50 years ago and then put a motherfucker in jail.
Yeah.
This to me is unconscionable. It's too much. And look, I'm not saying that women don't get assaulted or they don't get subjected to abuse. It happens. But women also do this shit.
Yep.
But this is the only thing we're trying to say. It's like, look, you're not the only ones being subjected to abuse in the world. You're not the only people being manipulated or exploited in the world.
Hey, Gorilla, I
Hey,
wanna say
can I
two
say
things,
something?
and then I'm gonna have to run back and sit on the couch. One, a brother said if you're 50-50, meaning you got equal parenting, no money for the BMT, that's not true. In certain states, you can get equal parenting, but you still have to pay child support because they go off both incomes. So if you got 50-50 equal parenting time and you make 50,000, she make 25,000, instead of her getting $500, she'll get 250. They cut it in half. Government daddy is not going to cut off any money if he can get it from even if it's 50 equal parenting time. They don't. Certain states cut it off, but some states still get the man for child support if he makes more money. Just so y'all know, you got to know what state offers that, because not all states just get rid of child support. Illinois, they get rid of child support if you got equal parenting, but if in certain states they still take money out of child support. Second thing I wanted to say, another brother said, don't have kids out of wedlock. I agree. You shouldn't have kids out of wedlock. But here's the thing. More men who get married and go through a divorce get it worse than an unmarried man. Because if you're unwedded, you don't get to pay alimony. You might pay child support, but not alimony. When you're married and she decided to divorce you, y'all know the divorce rate is done mostly with women, over 72, 75%. So most men who get reared off is the ones who are married going through a divorce. You get divorced, you're on child support, and you paying alimony. So saying not have kids out of wedlock, you can't just say that, because the one who gets screwed the most actually is married guys who get divorced by the no fault, and it's 75% of women who does it, and they get alimony and child support. So actually, you actually can say technically don't get married. So
don't get married, don't have kids. My advice to young men:
get it serious.
You are rolling the dice, fucking around with a contemporary woman. This is just the real deal. Because the shit I was sold as a child was, I'm going to have a family. I'm going to have a wife and some kids. We're going to live happily ever after in a house, 2-3 cars, a picket fence, and a dog. But this shit ain't happening no more, man. This is not Leave It to Beaver, man.
Not the days of old. It's not the days of old.
This ain't, you know, the honeymooners and shit. Right. This ain't even love and marriage.
Right.
This is some newfangled shit where the government has replaced men for women. Right. And so women can roam around on the cock carousel and do whatever the fuck they want. And most of this is the shit that's the most ironic part of it all.
Yeah.
Women demand that men be in monogamous relationships when they're with them. And demand that these men show loyalty and fidelity to them. And then they turn around and say, well, you know what? No fault of your own. I just like the pool guy now, and I want to bump uglies with him. Fuck you, pay me.
Right. And that I will never understand. They say the father ain't shit, deadbeat, but you'll still take his money. So he's good enough to pay, but he's not good enough to be a father. So that right there, you full of shit. But I got to get off and get back on the couch. You know, I'm a deadbeat. That's what I do. I sleep on the couch. I will definitely email you. Bro. We could definitely talk tomorrow, man. I just wanted to pay my respects to you and the panel. You know what I mean? You can't make this show with these baby mama terrors. That's what they are. You know what I mean? So I will hit you up tomorrow, bro. And I appreciate you shouting me out on the video yesterday.
For sure, man. And, you know, respect to you, bro. You know, sometimes some shit does get lost in my email. But I am in tune to you, man. We're going to be on tomorrow, man. I'd love to have you come by and drop by. When,
I'll be there.
Me and Spurgeon, we kind of.
I was gonna say I'm gonna email you and I'm gonna give you my number. We could definitely talk, but I'll be on there to check out with you and Uncle D tomorrow.
For sure, man. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man.
Nice
to meet you, man.
All right, peace.
Peace out. So yeah, man. I mean, you know, again, this is an issue that affects all men. But you know, on this show, we black men, so we talk about issues from a black male perspective. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. So, but this shit right here, man. I know white guys are feeling the crunch of shit too. I know y'all gotta be.
I hope you don't mind if I explain my perspective a little bit for a couple of minutes. It's been interesting in these past couple of years, noticing the assault on the nuclear family. And once I started pulling back and going onto the internet and going through Reddit and watching live streams like this on YouTube and noticing it wasn't just you know, a me problem. It wasn't just a white person problem. It wasn't just a 24-year-old problem. It's actually an American problem, and it affects everyone in America. And it seems to correlate at the same time with the slavery 2.0, the segregation 2.0, where it's technically legal on paper, but you know, if you just look at it, it's fucked up. Because I went to a town called Meridian, Mississippi, and there's two parts of the town. There's the black part of the town, and there's the white part of the town. The black part of the town, it's run down. There's quite a few gangs there. I stayed in a homeless shelter there. It was like 10% white. The majority were black. And almost all of the black men that I met there, they were either paying child support, they were divorced, essentially getting kicked around by their ex-wife. And I'm like, oh, this isn't just a me problem. Everyone seems to be having this problem. And I can recognize that segregation 2.0 is in effect. It's in action. I recognize that the destruction of the nuclear family is well underway and horrifyingly successful, but I don't understand, where is it going? What's the point? Why is this a thing? Because let's assume, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they are 100% successful and the nuclear family is entirely dissolved. Where is the workforce? Where's the slave labor? Where's the forced labor? Where's the drone worker? You know, who's gonna go sell software for Oracle? Who's gonna make fucking chicken burgers at Chick-fil-A for people who are gonna go and be worker drones and sell more software or sell more insurance? Where is it going? Because it just seems like an extremely self-destructive pattern that will ultimately end in destruction for everyone. Like, what are people just gonna hop on Noah's Ark and shoot off to live on Mars? Like, what's the point? I don't understand. Because even if there is a Noah's Ark, who's gonna be the workforce? I don't get it.
They're gonna have a workforce, but they're gonna have an antisocial, a non-intellectual, an emotionally challenged, psychologically challenged workforce to deal with, who are not gonna have the locus to be able to resist against this shit. So I mean, because people are gonna fucking reproduce. That's gonna happen. Okay. So, but what they're gonna have is children who are underdeveloped, who have psychological and social problems, and who are not going to be in a political position to actually resist against any of it. So what happens is instead of the family being the locus of where education happens, the school system educates the kids. Because I mean, if the mama is a single mama, she can't do it all. You can't educate the kids. You can't come home, work 8 to 10 hours, and then spend quality time with those kids and educate them and enculturate them the way you would want to. The state's gonna do it. The state's gonna educate your kids. These kids are basically being educated by the state. This is where this is going. And the rich and the wealthy, they have family intact structures. Their familial structures are more intact than everybody else's. Now, yeah, they got their own issues and problems too. I'm not saying that they don't. A lot of these people do have issues and problems. Okay, but they can bounce back. The average man cannot bounce back from this shit, and they know it. They know this. So this is a way to keep us under their thumbs. And so, like I could talk more about it, but where it's going is the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to be in a more vulnerable position. These major corporations, man, they have a pliable workforce, man.
Okay.
It just is what it is. And or like you said, the prison system. But here's the thing though. All of these issues, all of this shit started with the black community first, bro. We were the beta test for all of this. If you want to know how it's going to end up, it's going to end up just how Black America is now. That's where this shit is going. Okay? And white women are following the pattern of black women in this regard. It just is what it is. And it's unhealthy for kids in the long run because those aren't just their kids. Kids don't just belong to women. They belong to men also. They're your kids as well.
It's teamwork.
And this is what a lot of these women are losing. And they need impact and influence from their fathers just as they need from their mothers. These mothers can become smothering to an extreme.
Absolutely.
They're not just your fucking kids, ladies. They're ours too. And we have love for them, but we can't even develop the love and develop the bonds because you're getting in the fucking way. You're smothering these damn kids, man.
How many women listen to your show?
I got a few. Well, I would say less than 5% of the audience do, listen to my show are women.
Okay.
But that's the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like when,
yeah.
And I guarantee you it ain't a lot of white folks that listen to the motherfucking show. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't listen to black folks a lot. So you're a rarity to even come on the show. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, these issues do apply to all men. And at some point, all men are going to have to say enough is enough of this shit, man. Period.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I hate to say this shit, but I feel I've been subject to a lot of this neurosis that you've been describing, and it makes my enough is enough statement rather ineffective. So what I'm wondering is how can you and people like-minded as yourself encourage men to make a proper enough is enough statement? I'm not condoning violence, but is violence the answer? Is destruction of property the answer? Is refusing to go to work the answer? Is refusing to pay your taxes the answer? What is the answer? What's a proper solution?
Well, mobilization at first, like people talking, having conversations, consciousness raising, then developing a plan and trying to put the plan in effect. I personally am not going to, state exactly what my mode, of resisting this shit would be on YouTube, because to me, that's just not really smart. But at the end of the day, eventually something's going to happen. Like if you force men into a corner and you don't give them a voice and you spread lies and innuendo, eventually there's going to be a reaction. There will be a reaction.
Here's the thing that scares me, because in terms of a generational timeline, men are already having lower testosterone than their fathers. So the people that are reproduced are going to have lower testosterone. They're going to be brainwashed, for lack of a better term, to want to bend over and take it in the ass, smile, and buy the next fucking burger McDonald's sells. So
but what do you attribute that to?
What do I attribute that to? A lot of things. The chemicals we put in our bodies, the food we're fed, not even just fast food, but the food at the grocery store. It just, the chemicals in the air. And I know that sounds very bizarre with the whole chemtrail psyops to discredit people legitimately bringing up points about how, holding a phone in your pocket and to your head all day, it's a lithium battery. Lithium batteries give off radiation. That's got to do something to the brain. I'm not a scientist. Now I can't give you a proper answer, but it ain't good.
Yeah, I mean, look, all I can say is it is what we consume. It's the work we do or the work we don't do. We live a sedentary lifestyle. We live in these major industrial and these large metropolitan areas. People don't know each other. We don't have like pro-social behavior. We're living a lifestyle that wasn't really intended for us. And so it's having an impact on our physiology, and it's having an impact on our psychology and our emotional, well-being. And people are going to have to say, look, in general, people are going to have to say, look, we only live one life. That's all you get. This ain't Jumanji where you can be, respawn to some shit like that. This ain't a video game. This is real life. We only get one shot at this. We need to learn how to extend empathy to one another, but for some reason we lost the art of being able to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the capacity to understand each other anymore. And at the end of the day, I don't have all the solutions. Right now, I feel the malaise, man. That's all I'm saying. I feel something is fucked up, is wrong, and we need to at some point begin to organize and begin to resist this shit. But you know, I'm almost at the 2-hour mark. I'm you know, begin to wind this down. Thank you for joining me, Mark. Thank you for joining me, Don. But you know, I got some other words to say, and then I'm gonna get up on out of here. So thank y'all for joining me, fellas. I appreciate y'all coming through. But I'm about to wind this down. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right. So look, all I'm trying to say is this, man. We live in a culture, man, where it's a lot of young guys that are disrespectful, man. All right. But ultimately, a lot of these kids, man, are not reared in environments where they're made to feel shame at being wrong or doing wrong. And so what this does is it just creates this multiplier effect. It's like a ball rolling down, a snowball rolling down a hill and accumulating mass. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and the whole kind of cultural effect or phenomena it just begins to spiral out of control. Because now you got kids who have no impulse control, educating kids and enculturating them with poor technique. They don't have the right skills to impart wisdom to these kids. And so these kids grow up to have kids of their own, and the cycle just continues. So at the end of the day, man, all I'm saying is you got two natures, man. You are able to reason, but also you're able to acquire habits. These young guys, man, have to begin to, somebody's going to have to, and this is the issue. Who's going to teach these young guys? I know a lot of men do not want to have to deal with the problem associated with getting these young guys in control, because then it becomes a dangerous situation. You can get put in harm's way by trying to solve this issue or solve this problem. But it's a damn problem though right now. I don't know exactly what the route to take to solve it, but it's a goddamn issue, man. It's a problem. You got two natures. You have the ability to be trained, but these people are not being taught virtue, man. We're not being taught virtue. Do the best you can. If you got some kids, man, do the best you can, man, to make them feel shame when they do something fucked up, because after a certain period of time, it ain't nothing you can do. It's all out of your hands then at that point, because it's more difficult to teach an old dog new tricks than it is to teach a new dog old tricks. That's the facts. So if you got some kids and you actually are able to have an impact over their lives, let them know what reality is, man. Let them know what respect is. And if you can't show me love, man, show some love to yourself, man. I'll holler at y'all on the next one, bro. Peace out.